In 1949, a New Jersey chemist introduced a kiss-proof lipstick that would conquer the American market. Within 2 years, that promise turned into a medical crisis as women's lips began peeling, cracking, and bleeding. Hazel Bishop was trying to solve a universal problem. Traditional 1940s lipsticks were simple, made from castor oil, beeswax, and insoluble pigments like carmine all mixed into a paste. They colored lips, but barely survived a meal. Women reapplied makeup 5, 6, 7 times daily. The term kiss-proof existed only as aspiration. Bishop had an advantage her competitors lacked. During World War II, she worked for Standard Oil, studying aircraft fuel viscosity and oxidation resistance. She understood how molecules behaved, how solvents penetrated, and how chemical bonds formed. When she turned that knowledge toward cosmetics, she approached the lipstick problem as an engineering challenge. Her solution centered on a class of dyes called bromoacids, specifically eosin derivatives already used in textile dyeing. These compounds had a peculiar property, where they appeared pale orange or colorless in acidic conditions inside the tube. But when applied to skin at physiological pH, they transformed into vivid reds and underwent a second more important change. By bonding directly to keratin proteins in the outer layer of lips, the dye bonded directly to the skin itself and became part of the tissue. The color didn't sit on top of lips, but integrated into the tissue itself. Mechanically removing it was impossible. The stain would persist until the skin naturally shed, in a process taking several days. Bishop called it no smear. The advertising promised lipstick that survived eating, drinking, and kissing. The slogan that captured everyone's attention was, "Stays on you, not on him." By 1950, reports described rapid sellouts and strong demand. Bishop's formula wasn't entirely original. In 1927, a Parisian chemist named Paul Baudecroux had launched Rouge Baiser, a product that literally means red kiss, and used similar eosin-based chemistry. His marketing was provocative, with the claim, "the lipstick that can resist everything, even a kiss." It scandalized conservative circles, but Rouge Baiser had a fatal flaw because the staining was too effective. Women reported being unable to remove the color without abrasive scrubbing that left lips raw. The product disappeared from shelves within 2 years and created a myth that it had been banned for being too permanent. No such ban existed. In reality, the product simply failed because it worked too well, as its extreme permanence turned out to be its downfall. Bishop studied this failure. Her innovation came from adding high concentrations of lanolin to balance the harshness of the bromoacids and solvents. This made the formula wearable, though barely. Users still described dry, tight sensations, but compared to Rouge Baiser, it seemed like luxury. By 1953, Hazel Bishop Incorporated had reached $10 million in annual sales and captured nearly 25% of the United States lipstick market. Then Revlon entered the market with Indelible Cream, starting the so-called lipstick wars. It turned into a corporate battle involving hostile takeovers and wiretapping accusations, while also launching the most aggressive advertising campaign television had ever seen. Revlon responded with a rival formula featuring Lanolite, claimed to be 3 times stronger than ordinary lanolin. The company even staged paper penetration tests in television commercials to highlight its superior moisturizing power. What neither company was tracking were the medical reports beginning to accumulate in dermatology clinics. The first cases appeared subtle. Women complained of dry lips and minor flaking. Dermatologists initially dismissed these as seasonal irritation. By the early 1950s, case reports were already appearing in journals, and by 1954, the pattern had become undeniable. Dermatologists at St. John's Hospital for Diseases of the Skin in London documented a series of patients presenting with vermilion border inflammation, a condition involving swelling confined precisely to the colored portion of the lip. In severe cases, the tissue developed deep bleeding fissures. Some patients exhibited vesiculation in the form of fluid-filled blisters that ruptured and left raw patches. The distribution was unmistakable, as the skin was failing wherever indelible lipstick had been applied. In dermatology journals of the early 1950s, these reactions were often classified under the diagnosis of cheilitis venenata, a term used at the time for cosmetic-induced lip inflammation. Eosin molecules acted like chemical tripwires. Once bonded to skin, they fooled the immune system into treating lips as an infection. Repeated exposure escalated mild sensitivity into acute dermatitis. But the more insidious damage was phototoxicity. Eosin is a powerful photosensitizer. When exposed to visible light, particularly in sunlight, the molecule would absorb the energy and enter an unstable, agitated state. To calm down, it released that energy as singlet oxygen, a highly reactive form of gas that shreds biological tissue on contact. Women who wore indelible lipstick outdoors were effectively coating their lips with a light-activated poison. Sunlight turned the dye into a tissue-damaging agent. Dermatologists documented severe phototoxic reactions. The formulas also contained propylene glycol and polyethylene glycol as co-solvents that were necessary to dissolve the eosin, but highly disruptive to the skin's natural moisture barrier. This accelerated transepidermal water loss and left lips perpetually dehydrated and vulnerable to cracking. By 1955, lipstick dermatitis had become a recognized diagnostic category in medical literature. Yet, sales continued to climb. The end came not from consumer awareness, but from regulatory pressure triggered by an unrelated incident. On Halloween, 1950, many children fell ill after eating candy colored with food drug and cosmetic orange number 1. The outbreak forced the FDA to reevaluate all coal tar dyes used in consumer products. The investigation expanded. By 1960, Congress passed the Color Additive Amendments. It imposed zero tolerance for any additive shown to cause cancer in humans or animals. Previously, the FDA had to prove a substance was harmful, but now manufacturers had to prove safety. The law included the Delaney Clause. Testing protocols caught up with chemistry. By the early 1960s, stricter testing and purity standards reshaped lipstick dyes. Subsequent decades added further bans, including the eventual prohibition of food drug and cosmetic red number 3 in cosmetics in 1990. Eosin itself wasn't banned outright, but purity standards tightened significantly, including heavy metal limits. Tightened purity standards made high stain eosin use increasingly impractical. The indelible lipstick era ended not with a recall, but with quiet reformulation. By 1962, most brands had shifted to lake pigments, which are dyes precipitated onto inert mineral substrates, to provide color without chemical bonding. They smeared again, but they didn't destroy tissue. Hazel Bishop herself had already lost control of her company. In 1951, her advertising partner Raymond Spector leveraged his stock shares to seize majority ownership. Bishop sued for mismanagement and was forced out, settling in 1954 by selling all shares. She spent the remainder of her career in financial services, her name still on products she no longer controlled. Revlon dominated the market through the 1960s, though the 1955 wiretapping scandal, when Hazel Bishop Incorporated accused Revlon of illegal surveillance before a New York State legislative committee, revealed the depths of corporate desperation during the lipstick wars. The allegations remain disputed and resulted in no criminal charges. Today's long-wear lipsticks use volatile silicones and film-forming polymers. They achieve durability through mechanical adhesion, not chemical reaction. The technology is fundamentally different because the lesson of the 1950s was unambiguous. Beauty products that bond to tissue aren't cosmetics. They're chemical interventions, and they require medical-grade oversight. The strict rules governing every lipstick sold in America today owe their existence to the suffering women of the early 1950s, dragged to doctors by inflamed lips, and to the scientists who revealed the dark truth that permanent color was code for lasting scars. They paid the ultimate price in ravaged skin and prolonged agony just to chase a flawless look from dawn to dusk.